Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connections. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by the wonderful Amira Willighagen. Hi, Amira. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
Very good. Thank you so much for being on today. I have to tell you, my mom is a big fan of yours, so she was excited to hear I was going to chat with you.
I'm so glad.
So, Amira, tell us a little bit. You got started singing in kind of an interesting way. So, it was through listening to recordings, right, on YouTube?
Yes, I have a very musically talented family, so they were always playing some sort of instrument, and I always felt like the odd one out. Um, and then I heard this beautiful opera music on YouTube, and I was surrounded a lot by classical music as a
Mhm.
child, so I guess that's what inspired me to search for something like that. I was never really attracted to other pop songs like other children my age. And when I heard these opera songs for the first time, I immediately fell in love and I thought, this is what I want to do. It's so amazingly beautiful.
Do you remember the first song that you listened to?
Sorry?
Do you remember the first song you listened to?
Yes. One of the first songs I listened to was definitely Nessun Dorma
Mm.
by Pavarotti in the car with my mother and my grandmother. That was one of the first moments I fell in love.
And did you try singing that one, or was it a different song you started with?
I tried singing that one. It was quite a difficult opera area for someone that was 7 years old. But I also fell in love with O mio Babino Caro by
Mm.
Puccini, and also Pie Jesu. So yes, lots of beautiful music.
And what was your family's reaction when they heard you sing like that?
Well, of course, my mother and father were like, "Oh, you sing so beautiful." But I thought, well, they're my parents, so they're not going to say that I sing terrible. But I guess they were very surprised to find out that their um, young child wanted to learn opera. I guess that's not really very normal, but they were very excited for me because they could see that I really loved what I was doing.
Hmm. So, how about the like your peers, your own age? What were they thinking when were you singing around the house with your friends, singing opera and
I think for them it was quite strange. They were also so young, and it was difficult to comprehend what kind of genre I was singing.
yeah.
So everyone listened to like these Dutch pop songs for children, and every time my friends listened to it, I wasn't really enjoying it as much. So I do think when they heard me singing for the first time on TV when I participated in the competition Hollands Got Talent, I do think they were shocked because I don't think when I told them I will be singing at this competition, they really thought that was what I meant.
So, how did that happen? Was it something that you grew up watching Holland's Got Talent and you thought, oh, I'd like to be part of that? Did someone suggest it to you or?
Well, my family and I think it was every Saturday or Sunday that we watched things like Holland's Got Talent and The Voice Kids, because it was so fun for us to watch all these young talents. And also sometimes, if there was a part off key, my brother enjoyed that particularly a lot. But I always thought it looked so cool to like see someone in a box. I was of course very little and didn't understand it very well, but I was like, wow, that's so cool. You can see someone on this box like from everywhere, and it was just like a kind of dream of mine to just be on TV, but it was never with the goal in mind to win a competition. It was just to be in the box so that all my friends could see me.
And obviously, you were so young when you do that. So, how much do you remember from that? Do you remember like moments or do you remember the whole experience?
I must say, I was 9 years old, so I'm double that age now. I'm
Yeah.
18. Yes, I'm getting so old. Um, but I remember a lot because it was such a special experience
Mm.
to be able to share my talent given from above with everyone. It was a wild experience, but I do remember it quite clearly. Yes.
And what was that like? So you're going one minute you're on, this TV screen and thousands, millions of people online are seeing you, and then you're going back to school. Presumably you're having a normal life, right? So what was that like for you as a kid, switching between those two worlds?
It was a bit strange at first, especially for my family as well, because we were like a normally functioning family, um, which we just really loved the music a lot. And then from one day to another, there would be like cameras in front of our house and phone calls from Andre Rieu. Do you want to perform with me? And it was a wild transition. But I do think because it was at a young age, I did
Mhm.
get used to it. And also, my parents protected me a lot. It wasn't that um, dipped, thrown into fame at the first second. They did everything they could to make sure I still went to a normal school, could have a normal, protected life, and do things children should do, like play with friends and enjoy. So that was a really good decision of theirs. So it doesn't feel like my whole childhood was just taken away. I had a lovely childhood, but also, of course, with a lot of singing, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, it sounds like your parents were very wise in that. And I saw this documentary you had on your YouTube channel. It sounded like your dad was fielding calls saying, no, Amira's doing school during this period, so she can't perform here.
Yes.
So when did you get that call from Andre Rieu about, first, I think it was to be part of a master class, and then you were part of one of his big performances, right?
Yes, I do remember it was very, very close to when my audition of Holland's Got Talent went viral. So maybe it was even like a day after that he called.
Wow.
And it was one of the first phone calls we received, actually. So our hearts just like stopped for a moment.
And his stages, I think his concerts are so beautiful. You see everyone all dressed up and everything. So how did you enjoy being part of one of his shows?
I am extremely, I feel so blessed to also have this part of me that isn't stressed and anxious to go onto a stage because that stage is huge. And the people there, the artists, are so extremely talented. And the only thing I was worried about is if I could bring my turtle on stage with me. I had this stuffed animal that was a turtle. Unfortunately, she didn't make it onto the stage, but
Oh,
it was an incredible experience still to see all those people, and I was just so happy and excited to be able to share that wonderful aria O mio babino caro that I've loved so much, to share it with everyone present there.
and so you've mentioned in the past that you really get lost in the music. So do you think that's one of the reasons you don't get nervous is because you're so into the song you're singing?
Yes, I definitely think that is one of the reasons, because if you go into the context of the song and what the meaning really is, you get so like taken away with that. And sometimes, if I hear myself singing, it's like, wow, I've received this talent, and to be able to share it is so wondrous. It's too wondrous to feel anxious
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. So tell me, okay, you mentioned Pavarotti singing Nessun Dorma. You also really loved Maria Callas. Who are some of the others that you listen to that you get inspired by?
Well, I must say, when I was younger and I listened to Jackie Evango, it
Mhm.
really gave me so much excitement, because at first I felt a bit weird. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to sing opera at this age, because everyone I see is like grown up and has these very strong voices. But then I heard Jackie Evango with this angel voice, and I was really inspired by that, because she also made everyone see that, you can be young but you can sing opera also in a safe way without damaging your voice. That gave me a bit of peace that it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times people get very worried, but like you're saying, there's definitely a way to do it healthfully. And I think also when you're young, you're not necessarily projecting to the whole hall without a microphone, right? We do have some ways to help you
Yes.
when you're younger. So have you continued your vocal training now after obviously you were untrained, you went on the show, you won the show, but then did you get some vocal advice, some coaching?
Yes, I definitely got a lot of vocal advice, not only to train my voice daily, but also music overall. Because
Mm,
when I entered the competition, I couldn't even read notes or identify what is this musical instrument standing next to me. And I learned so much about the music I'm singing that it even feels more real. It's like a
mm,
new language you speak. So the combination of that and the technique I've learned, it has really helped me become the singer I am today because I love classical music, I love crossover music, I love real opera, I love musical also a lot. So it is possible to sing multiple genres with the right way of singing each one of them, of course, in a safe manner.
yeah, absolutely agree. Tell us a little bit. You have had 3 albums out so far. Tell us a little bit about your albums, and you've also kind of become, I think your last record is the most crossover. So tell us about that one and your choices, how you pick your music.
Yes, so I have 3 albums out, and it has been so exciting to make these albums because two were with Sony and one was with Koleske, and they are so talented, and their whole team is so talented. And to be able to say you have a whole album with just your voice is, of course, incredible. I couldn't even have dreamed of it. So, of course, the first album was just after Hollands Got Talent, so it, of course, had O Mio Bambino Caro on it. And the second one was a Christmas album with a lot of Christmas carols and religious songs, which are also very close to my heart. And then the last one, it was to a bit go on a journey of crossover music and how can you turn even a pop song into a classical arrangement and make it
Mm,
cross over. It was so lovely to experiment with different kind of music and bring it together because I've also done a Christmas concert, a streaming concert here in South Africa, a South African Christmas with Amira and friends. Because what is Christmas in South Africa like when it's so hot?
yeah.
You can't breathe. And to combine the African culture and traditions with classical music, that combination was magical. So it's so nice to kind of experiment with different kinds of music and bringing them together.
And have you found, obviously, you're getting older, the voice will continue to change for a while, but have you found it as it's changing, any new things that you're enjoying about your voice as it's growing?
Yes, I do think everyone was so worried at first because this little girl singing opera, she will hurt her voice. But luckily, we've taken care, especially my parents, that I didn't sing excessively.
Mm,
Um, and I've been to a voice doctor before, and he said your voice is perfectly healthy. I think for all artists, it's the best to make sure your voice keeps healthy. And my voice has gone through a lot of transitions where I would sing and then my mother would be like, "Whoa, what happened? Something changed." If you listen to a video of a lot of years ago, it's like it's so cute. And now it's like, whoa, the power and strength. And of course, you have to practice that in order to go up with the transition, but it's also the natural course of how your voice changes. So I don't think artists have to be ashamed when that transition happens, because when that transition happened with me, there can be like a crack for like 6 months or so because your voice is going through this huge transition. And when that was over, it's like you have new heights, you have new lows, and it's just magical to see how flexible the voice can be and how it can change.
yeah, I agree. And because it's the voice, first of all, it's just an amazing thing, but it physically grows just like the rest of you is growing as a young person. So I think it's like it can be just important to make sure the person has enough encouragement during that time to keep going, but you obviously have the right team behind you. Have you felt any pressure though, being like that you are so well known online? Do you ever feel any pressure?
There's definitely a lot of pressure in the outside world, especially on younger children, because it is expected of you to, of course, always be your best. And not only to sing your best, but to look your best. And of course, I always try to sing my best. But of course, it will never truly be enough here on earth,
Mm,
because one time your lips are too red. Then the other time your dress, it's not the right color for you. So there will always be something, but luckily I have grown up with so much love and protection that I'm so confident in myself as a being because I don't seek approval by other people as much as my family and of course from the one who created me. So that gives me a lot of peace because I don't think anyone deserves to be unhappy with themselves. And I think if you do your best, that is sufficient.
It sounds like faith plays a good part in your life as well, and you have recorded, Near My God to Thee, The Holy City, all these beautiful songs. So do you want to share a little bit about those, what those songs mean to you personally?
Yes, those songs mean a lot to me personally because I get these compliments like, your voice is amazing. You are amazing. But I'm like, yes, but it's not really my voice. It has been gifted to me. It's
Mm.
this generous gift. And the only goal I have is to use it in the right way and the way that it was meant to be used. So my faith is like one of the main engines that keeps my car going. Because I see what a change it can bring in people's lives. Like music unites people, it brings people together. And especially with Nearer My God to Thee, I think music sets these feelings
Mm.
to life. And yes, my faith is so extremely important to me because that is what has brought me this gift to share with everyone here on earth.
That's very beautiful, Amira. And tell us, so you decided early on you wanted to not only use your voice, but also give back. So you have a wonderful charity to create playgrounds for children that don't have it. So tell us, how did you get started at such a young age? You came up with this idea.
Yes, so that's a very interesting story because I was originally born in the Netherlands and I have lived there for 13 years. But then we moved to South Africa. And we know South Africa so well because my mother was born in South Africa. So we had deep connection here in South Africa, and we went here on holiday every year to visit my mother's family and friends. But unfortunately, we also witnessed the poverty,
Mm.
and especially in contrast with Europe, to be confronted with that, it really hits you a lot as a child because everything in the Netherlands that we experience, like having no problem walking out on the street to a playground 10 meters away and enjoying to play there with friends and then return to your warm, loving home. But then here in South Africa, my brother and I realized it is not something, it's just that's just there every day because some people don't have it. And then at a very young age, when I was 7, I realized, but I do think all children should have the right to play because it's a child's job to play. And I immediately, as a child, you know how important it is to play because you know how much you love it to play. You wouldn't be a child if you didn't play every day. So when I won Holland's Got Talent, I think it was kind of a wake up call. Like I've always wanted to change it, but now I have got this received this opportunity which I can use to change it.
Mm.
So when I was 9, almost 10 years old, my fans helped me to build a foundation because I was so young. Like, what is a foundation? I thought I could just like build a playground and put it there. That's not how it works. So they helped me to um, build this foundation with board members, and I just signed my autograph because I was so excited. And my foundation's name is Gelukskinders, and it's South African, but in English it means lucky children, because we want to bless children with what they have 100% the right of, which is to play. So we've built 18 playgrounds already in the
Wow.
surroundings of Ikageng and Promosa. It are township areas in South Africa. And to see those children play, it's like when they see this playground for the first time, it looks as if they haven't seen one before ever in their life. And it's bizarre to witness a child seeing a playground for the first time because that's not the way it should be.
Yeah.
But to see them playing and enjoying the time with their friends is magical.
Well, that is absolutely beautiful. And people will put the link on the screen that people can donate to that. That's a wonderful foundation that you've put together, Amira. We do have a couple questions from a patron of ours. So he wanted to know a little bit about original music. So he said, you've sung some of the best arias ever written. Do you have any desire to write your own original music, or maybe, take another classical piece and just adjust it with your own lyrics or something?
I must say, I have thought about it once, and I had a musical assignment a while ago at my school where we had to compose our own piece. And I composed a short aria, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. But I'm not sure about sharing it with the world yet, but
Okay.
someday.
So yet to come, yet to come. But that's good that you're doing those exercises in class already. That's really good.
Yes.
So another question, you mentioned musicals a little bit, and so Patrick Kimmel, he's actually writing his own musical, and he asked, "What is your favorite musical and why?"
Ooh, I do really enjoy My Fair Lady.
Oh,
I
yes.
think Audrey Hepburn's personality, that quirky, happy personality, fits mine as well. I remember one dance we had at the school. And when I came home, I listened, I could have danced all night 10 times over.
Do you have anybody you would love to perform with on stage that you haven't had a chance? I mean, I know you've performed with like Paul Potts, wonderful people, but is there anyone else that you would like to perform with?
I must say, I've always been a fan of Andrea Bocelli. His voice is so absolutely magical. But also my brother and I think we are one of the biggest fans of Celine Dion.
Oh, really?
So either one of those two would be amazing.
So tell me, after you've done these albums, you've done these amazing concerts with Andre Rieu, and then after you started releasing your own concerts, I think you had 4 DVDs, is that correct, that came out?
Yes, I think it's four already.
So what was that like? Because obviously being in the studio is a little bit different, but I assume filming all these live concerts is a bit of a different process.
Yes, it was quite interesting what led us to that choice because that was the COVID-19
Hmm.
pandemic. It was a difficult time for everyone around the whole world, and especially for artists as well. Because when there's no audience to sing to, what do you do with your passion for music? And then we heard of something like a streaming concert. My mother and I were like, streaming, like online. And we gave it a try. I had my first solo streaming concert with Charles Duplessis, a great pianist, and it was so lovely. Even though there was no audience, we were able to share this streamed performance all over the world. Then we tried it again with Christmas time, and then I had my 18th birthday streaming concert to celebrate my 18th birthday. And then luckily there was allowed to be a live audience as well. So there will be clapping heard in the background. That is always nice. Um, where I wanted to show in that concert what I've learned in 9 years. Where I also sang a lovely opera aria and some musicals and crossover. So yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I think the online um, world is such a big world to share your talents with. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so much fun because you get, obviously with a live show, you get that live interaction, but you can really share it with the whole world when you do it online. So it's definitely interesting. Um, Amira, you mentioned a couple times now you've turned 18. So what is the next step for you as you think as you move forward? Do you still want to study opera? Do you want to go to school for music?
Yes. So I'm in my last high school year, and I do believe I'm going to miss high school a lot. But it's also time to spread my wings and go into the adult life. Um, so after school, I'm going to go on a world tour because a lot of times people have asked me like, "Do you want to tour with us for 3 months?" I'm like, "Can't. Exams are starting." Um, so that way, I will be able to um experience a lot of stuff I haven't experienced before, and share my talent once again around the world. I believe it will be so lovely. But after that year, I will be studying music, and I'm planning to study it in Cape Town and still deciding which university, but music is my passion and I do want to do it for the rest of my life.
Well, I'm sure everyone will be very happy to hear that. They'll be enjoying your music for many years to come. Thank you so much for speaking to me, Amira. You are a remarkable young woman. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat.
Thank you for having me. It was so lovely to be able to chat with you, to be on this lovely magazine. I've heard of so many great people being in this magazine, so it's such an honor.
Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing your next adventure. And maybe we'll get to have you back when you have your new album in the future. So,
Ooh, thank you. Yes, I do have a next adventure that is around the corner, just if anyone wants to know what my next concert is. So my next concert is actually a streaming one. This is Diversity is Phenomenal. So it's raising awareness for people in the spectrum. Um, so this is where I'll be recording one song that will be streamed with a lot of other amazing artists as well. So if anyone is up for some nice music.
and will that be available on your website, Amira? The link to that?
Yes, I have posted it on my Facebook.
Perfect. So we'll also put it in the description. Everyone, please go support that as well. Thank you so much, Amira.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.